get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, thank you. My name is Willie Dennis. I am the co-director of the Jazz Festival, Jazz Art Writers South Festival, and we are welcoming you all to our last Jazzy Lunch for the month of May. So everyone, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of this. We're very, very appreciative of y'all being here. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time. We'll do all the other good stuff at the end of this session today. But today I want to welcome back the sound barrier who brought some friends, all right? We're going to thank him for being here. And we're going to go ahead and let them take it away. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Dauphin Street Stompers.
Dauphin Street Stompers, giving you the best in authentic New Orleans jazz from the 1900s all the way up to the 1930s with a couple of Hank Williams in there. My name is Reverend Steve today. This is Dr. K on the banjo, that's Brother Dean on the trombone, and that is Tuba Sydney on the tuba. Her name is actually Tuba Sydney. Don't ask her why we call her that.
Good. We've got a couple of South people. I used to teach math, I'm retired math professor, and Dean teaches over in medical school.
All right.
So actually got some South people. We're a South oriented. Yeah, I'd like to say a little something about the music, because people really don't know much about it. If you go down to New Orleans, and I used to go down all the time and play with the guys down there, and there's a certain style of music that they play from the old days. And the old days consists of a type of music that took spirituals, like down by the riverside, which is spiritual, took that and would turn into a jazz tune. And then they had the pop tunes of the day too. You're going to hear a pop tune next. What is it, Ain't You Sweet? Ain't You Sweet, from the 20s. So that was the big era of the 20s. They talk about the 1920s as the only era in American music where the pop music and the art music were the same. In other words, nowadays you've got pop music and all that kind of thing, Taylor Swift and all that, and then you've got some serious jazz players, but they're totally separate. But back in that day, the art music was connected, was the pop music. And it all started, I can tell this story, it's a great story, with a guy named Buddy Bolden in New Orleans. And it was about 1898, 1899, and he was in a band, and he was very dissatisfied with it, so he came into rehearsal, and he fired the leader. I don't know how you do that, but I guess everybody else was sick of him too.
We want to do that too.
Yeah. Anyway, he said, okay, no more music. Because back at that time, everything was written out. I mean, the trombone parts and the trumpet part and everything, even the banjo part was written out, tuba part definitely. And you'd read from a sheet, and you'd play in the park, and you'd play these different things, and you'd play ragtime. And ragtime is a classical style, really. It's classical music. And so he said, we're not doing it anymore. You got to make up your own part. And they were ready for it, I guess. They were ready to get rid of the other guy. And that supposedly is the day that jazz was born. And it was Buddy Bolden's band. And this is kind of what we do. We have you don't see any music here, really. Sometimes Sid will read off a chord chart, but she makes up her own parts. We're all making up our own parts here, and we play. And there's another aspect of this music beyond just the fact that it's improvised. Everything is improvised, and that is collective improvisation. And collective improvisation is where at the end, these three people, well, I won't do it, I'll just play chords, but they'll all be improvising at the same time. Today, and actually we do some soloing, and Dean played a solo, and that's from the 1920s. The solos came along with Louis Armstrong, was the guy who supposedly invented the solo. When the whole band plays collectively, everybody's soloing at the same time. And it's tricky to do that. You have to have a small band, everybody has to stay in their own lane, everybody has to listen to everybody else. And it's a real art, it's actually kind of a lost art. People can't do that anymore. But so these are the aspects that you'll be hearing. Do we have any musicians in here? Any musicians? Okay, so you might know what I'm talking about. One of the reasons you can get away with that kind of collective improvisation is the music is very tonal. It's very strongly tonal. In other words, it'll go dominant after dominant, and especially dominant chords, which are very forgiving. So everybody can really, if they listen carefully, they can all solo at once. And like I said, it's a lost art. Okay, for next tune is Ain't You Sweet from the 1920s. That's right. 1, 2, 1, 2. It's only in New Orleans they used to. Once jazz got out of New Orleans, they didn't use the spiritual thing. That thing disappeared. That disappeared. And eventually, the collective improvisation disappeared because the bands got bigger. And it's really hard. Boy, you get to 8 people, 9 people. We've had it before. It sounds like somebody's making some mistakes in it. So it's really, that disappeared after that too. And then they started writing music down, got the big band era, and then we went back to the combo again. And Miles Davis and other people. So we're going to play this little light of mine. This is spiritual. I hope that's in the flat, right? Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2. the vocals. We have a lot of fun with vocals, and most of us have been instrumental musicians. And I was in New Orleans playing during Summerfest, Satchmo Summerfest, and there are a lot of buskers in the street, and I was playing. All I have to do, I walk around, and I'll find a horn player who's sitting there playing all by himself, and I say, okay. And then we play together, and so that's how I was doing it. I usually play 3 or 4 bands when I go down. And so I was playing with this guy, and he said, you pick a song. He picked a song, and we played, and he said, you pick a song, and I picked a song. He said, you can sing it, right? And I said, well, I just don't usually sing. He said, you've got to sing every song. People want to hear the words. They want to know what it sounds like. So I sang everything. I went through it all. And I've kept that philosophy for the years, 20 years, I guess, I've been running a Dixieland band, been in a Dixieland band in Mobile and in New Orleans. And so I've kept to that. And so we have a lot of fun with the vocals. None of us are frontman singers. You know, we can sing all right, but we're not frontman. So we decided we're going to sing in harmony because it covers up a lot of, covers up a lot of tone quality things. It gets a nice
way more
thick
fun.
Yeah, it's more fun. And so we started doing that. And so Steve and I invented a thing we call street harmony. And it has all these rules. Anyway, we've had a lot of fun doing it. And some of the rules are we use what they call upper pedal tones up the thing, like on This Little Light of Mine, I'm singing a constant, This little light of mine, and he's singing down, and then we do other things, and then some of them I write out, the more complicated ones, I'll write out in music, I'll actually write them on standard notation, and because you just can't do it any other way.
Right.
But it's been a lot of fun for us doing that, and
Right.
so the singing part is a lot of fun. You get to hear the words to these songs. The words are really good to these old songs. What's up? You want to do this? What is it? Ain't You Sweet? That was the second song we did not do. Ain't You Sweet? Songs like that. You listen to the words. There are a lot.
That'll
of
be a perfect example of the harmony that we came up with while we were on the street. Because when we first got together, it was like, yeah, man, you got to sing. And I was like, and there were a bunch, along with a whole bunch of other things he said I had to do when forming this band. There were,
right, and then learn to play too.
I was like, I had to learn to play, I had to learn to sing, I had to get up early, and I'm like, man,
I forgot about that.
I was like,
we got a gig, breakfast gig, for every Saturday, and you had to get up.
I straight up told him, I was like, I can't get up that early and sing and play.
Sing and play and get up.
Sing, play, and get up. That's my job. So this song will be a perfect example of what we came up with as far as like playing on the street and stuff. So you'll hear a lot of that in the vocals.
Right. Okay. Here we go. 1. Video on YouTube with George Harrison and Paul McCartney and Ringo doing Ain't She Sweet in the backyard. It's real cute. And I said, that's really neat. I'm going to write that down.
Thank you so much for the water.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, thank
I have
you.
a question. How do y'all feel listening to this music?
Okay.
Like, do you feel? Yeah, like that's what I wanted to see. Like, how do y'all feel? Do you feel like depressed? Do you feel like happy? Like, you feel like it's kind of cathartic. I used to tell Doc all the time when we first got together. I said, you just don't know. Like, there are times where I was having like a really bad day. And like, I would come down, so we play in front of the Peanut Shop. If you ever see it, in fact, that used to be our band name, the Peanut Shop Guys.
Yeah,
we're the Peanut Shop Guys. So we play in front of the Peanut Shop a lot, and listening, and like I said, I have nothing against any artist, because I'm an artist. And so any artist that's out there making a name for themselves doing it in this business. You know, and I hear the music that's out now, and when I play this music, there's like an antithesis. There's like, if that makes any sense, there's a complete antithesis. Like you were saying at the beginning, that era was the only era where the music of then was the music that we're playing right now. That was the pop music. That was, you imagine turning on the radio and hearing something like that. That's what this music was.
Yeah.
And I hear the music now, and I'm like, I hear this music. It's a complete difference. I mean, there's a difference in feel. There's a difference in how it's written. There's a difference in the interpretation of this music. And I still have people, even to this day, come up to me and be like, man, like when I hear you guys play, I mean, it just makes my day. And then I tell them, well, we are the day makers. I'm not making that up.
He likes that about himself.
I'm not making that up. You can Google the day maker. We are the day makers. And an article about us comes up
we did.
online. So you can Google we are the day makers and an article.
What was the, it was in Civic Affairs, something affairs,
Was it
Current Affairs.
Current Affairs magazine.
Current Affairs magazine. It's an international magazine, and she was doing an article on called minimalism. Right.
Minimalism.
They say what's minimalistic, and when she referred to us as being minimalistic, they have no electronics. You know, we're out there, and we're in the neighborhood. We were playing in New Orleans at the time.
It was when I Dutch Alley. an article on
It's hard to know what people do think of the music. A lot of people kind of dismiss it, and but they still play it. I mean, it's still being played down in New Orleans. You have to go look for it. You can't even find it in most places. Most of the street music is all just this, guy doing Folsom Prison Blues or something, and so or doing a pink hand.
Yeah.
But it's in some of the bars. You have to know where they are. We're on Decatur's. They're right down in Decatur. Down in Decatur, you can find it. You have to search for it. Go hunting. But there's a really good band down there. Where is it?
Not Cafe and stuff.
We played there. What's it?
Balcony.
Balcony. There's a balcony.
Right across from Checkpoint Charlie and stuff. So, I'm very honored that we still get work. We still get work on playing this kind of music. And to me, Doc says we fit the architecture. And so we fit the architecture
of New Orleans
and Mobile.
Yeah, 20s is a big time.
We're at Bob's, like he said, every Saturday. Tony said we have that job until he dies. Yeah. So he said that's a presence we have every Saturday from 9 hopefully we'll be back here and stuff like that. We just finished doing a couple of weddings in March and April, so we do weddings, all that kind of stuff. I have cards with me if you all would like to.
We got a couple of CDs.
And stuff in my trunk case and stuff, so we have that kind of stuff. So thank y'all for taking the time out to listen to us.
We're going to do a little bit of, what's his name? I'm walking.
Fats Domino.
Fats Domino. There, we're going to do a little bit of Fats Domino. Current guy, but a real New Orleans guy. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 1. what?
Wow.
Remember that came out on the radio.
Wow, but that was considered pop music. And so,
Well, of course it was. It was Bob. He was. No, that's one of the few contemporary things we actually do.
Right.
We do a couple Hank Williams stuff. But, what else we got here?
Battle hymn.
Yeah. I like
Battle hymn.
Battle hymn.
Battle. Oh, Battle. Oh, the Battle. Yeah, another spiritual.
I like the patriotic songs because
Yeah,
you can have a
that
lot
is-
of fun on the patriotic songs.
Oh yeah, yeah. 1, 2,
You were gonna say something?
Yes, Willie's in a meeting, so y'all have me. So, thank y'all so much for coming. We're not quite done yet, but this
Yeah,
is just
yeah.
the interlude. Next week, we're gonna have another Jazzy Lunch next Wednesday, same time. And in addition, on Thursday, next Thursday at 6 o'clock in our library auditorium, we're gonna have the musician Thomas Jackson live concert here, so be sure to be here, 6 o'clock next Thursday. We are doing the drawing. So we have 4 prizes. Okay.
I forgot that.
Okay. Number 1.
Great with the banjo player.
There you go.
That's right.
That's right.
Right. I'll serenade them.
With the band.
Christy George. Magna. Awesome. Amy. Oh, cool. And that's it. And Stephanie. Awesome. Come over here and grant your prizes. All right, thank you all so much for coming. Continue to enjoy the concert. And thank you so much for Sound Barrier and for the Dauphin Street Stompers and Dixieland.
Yes.
So everybody covered.
Right.
All right, thank y'all so much, and we love it. But don't leave yet. Keep on
While they're grabbing their prizes, I will go ahead and plug our social medias. Even though we play old style jazz, we do have a Facebook page. It is Dauphin Street Stompers, DAUPHIN Street Stompers and stuff. I post. I'm pretty good with that. Our page, according to Facebook, our page is very healthy. I'm posting on there a lot. Any events that we have coming up, whether they are private or public, I post them on our Facebook page. And so you can go there to see where we're playing next. All the Bob's gigs are on there. Anything else we have coming up will be at Beer Garden for the Pride Art Walk, which is next month in June. We'll be there for the Pride Art Walk. We're playing at Loaded Beer Garden. We'll be there from 6 to 8:30, I think. 6 to 8:30. And so, yeah, we'll be there. So if you see us, you know, in the street, Doc says a lot of jazz started in the street. So we try to, as much as we can, to play as much jazz in the street as possible because that's where jazz was birthed. So, I'm Reverend Steve. That is Dr. K. That's his name. Kent Murdoch has what's your degree in? Math and stuff. Brother Dean, he teaches here as well.
Yeah, he's over neurology.
Yeah.
Yeah, he keeps us healthy, scrapes the plaque off our brains.
Yeah. Keep it straight and stuff. And this is,
I don't.
Tuba Sydney and stuff. She is from Pascagoula, and we have adopted her as our tuba player, and I could not be more happy.
She's in an elementary school.
Elementary school teacher.
Right.
I'm so happy that she's here. You know, we'll play a couple more songs for you and stuff. What we got next?
Mom, oh yeah, Mom. Here's a
this is a
precautionary tale for you.
for you gentlemen.
You don't see Mama every night, you know. We're gonna do a little intro.
talking about earlier. We played some Scott Joplin.
Yeah.
And also what you heard was one of the trademark behaviors, not sounds, if you will, but trademark behaviors of the Dauphin Street Stompers. A lot of times we play a lot of old songs, and instead of just playing them straight out, we will mix them with other songs.
That's true.
And stuff. So like we started off with If You Don't See Mama, which is I think 30s,
Right.
and then we went straight into Ragtime with Scott Joplin because
Swamp.
we wanted to. Because we wanted to do the
It's
fit.
ragtime,
And
doesn't
stuff.
it?
So what you got
Yeah,
next?
oh yeah, so what we got next?
Amazing Grace?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, here we go. We do a great job.
We'll start off as a dirge. A dirge is just basically a
Then we
slow
go to Dauphin
song,
Street
and we go into the Dauphin Street.
One time the guy asked us, he said, you know, we were gonna get hired at this place in New Orleans, and he said, you know, the bands I've had here, he says, they don't play very fast. do you guys play fast? I said, no, we, yeah, we play fast. Oh, wait, you'll see. Okay, here we go, hit it, man, hit it. diminished chord. Nice, you know, if you remember the silent movie, you don't remember silent movie, but they use them a lot in 1920s jazz, and it's so much fun because you know you get really nice sounds in it. But if you ask, I wish we had a rock and roll player today. You guess they don't even know what a diminished chord is. You know, they don't use them at all in current popular music. Never. I mean, you could probably find one somewhere, but they just don't use them. And the modern jazz people use them for flat 9 substitutions, 7 flat 9. So, and they're not don't use them that much either. They're kind of they rather use a minor. They go. You know, so that's kind of faded out. But I love the use of the diminished chords. You need to run them up. You know.
Going to what he was saying. Musically, man, I had played some of everywhere. By the time I started this Dixieland band, or me and Dot rather, I started doing music professionally when I was in 2015, and played some of everything like pop, R&B, jazz, and had never. I mean, like when I got with Doc, it was like I didn't know how to play anything. I didn't know how to play. He was like, well, he's like, do you know such and such, or do you know H.C. Sweet, or do you know? And like even the like church songs that I grew up playing, like when he started playing, I'm like, man, I said, we're black, we don't do that. Some of those chords we had to do today. We play a lot of chords, trust me, bro. I said, man, I had never even experienced none of that musically. So musically, I step out of my comfort zone a lot when it comes down to playing this type of music, and I'm really glad that I you know, y'all give a hand for them. They sound amazing.
Bill Bailey.
Oh yeah, Bill Bailey. It's written by a old guy. Everybody knows Bill Bailey.
Everybody.
And it's a true story. His girlfriend kicked him out, and he went to his friend and said, "What should I do?" And he said, "Well, make her come to you." And that's what the song's about. And he wrote it, as a matter of fact. I've often wondered if he got any money for it, but it's a great song. You know? What key is it?
F, I think.
You think so?
Hop Downtown Diner and Candles at Beer Garden, June the 14th for the Pride Art Walk downtown Mobile. Thank y'all so much. My name is Reverend C. That's Dr. K on the banjo, Brother Dean, and Tuba Simney. Y'all give it up for him.